We're not law enforcement. We don't go to people's houses and confront them in any way. We're not code enforcement. We're not mediators or attorneys or anything like that. What we are is a group of people who listen to our neighbors and then tries to help the community decide, learn, and to achieve what's best for us all now and hopefully in the future. So those are things that we aspire to, and we really need all of your help to do it. It's not just something that Dennis can do or that the board members can do. It's something that everybody really needs to pitch in and work with. So just a quick overview. There's lots more that we've done. Later on this evening, we might get into some of the things that we've done in the past and are planning to do in the future. But the San Marcos Association has been around in one form or another since the last millennium, since the 1980s. And we've worked on a lot of different projects, and some of them continue to today. Just like we're way back in the day, we were working on mitigating the effects of the Cunningham Hill gold mine. And we're still working on that today, as that gold mine's legacy will last not just for the 30 years since then, but for another 100 or 200 years. I won't be around that long, but hopefully something like the San Marcos Association will be. So this evening, there's a lot of people here that we've invited to come and speak. And I know that their time is valuable, so we're not going to, I'm not going to keep rattling on here, but I'll introduce you one at a time and give you a chance to talk for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then maybe there'll be time for questions or maybe not. But this is a time for the speakers to talk about their organizations and the big picture ideas. It's not a time this evening for confrontation or questions or bringing up things about this issue or that issue for the speakers. It's, if you want to do that, you can put things in the chat room. And there's a chat icon down there at the bottom. I'm not able to keep track of it very easily, but if you want to put something in the chat, we'll make sure that it gets to the speaker, and or maybe we'll get a chance tonight. But the first person I'd like to welcome is Commissioner Hank Hughes, who is Commissioner for District 5, which is, in a rough and ready way, the northern half of that area that I showed you in the map a few minutes ago. And congratulations, Commissioner Hughes. You're the chair of the Board of County Commissioners this year. I don't know if that's one of those things where you're just the slowest person out of the room, or whether it's something that you've been looking forward to. But nevertheless, Commissioner Hughes is the chair, and he very conscientiously has what's called the Hour with Hank every month, I think, roughly. And there is one coming up on the 29th, which might be a week from today. I'm not sure about my math there, but the 29th at 5:30, we'll be sending out a notice about that, but I encourage you all to go to it. So Commissioner Hughes, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you to say a few words here to the group.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate being invited to your annual meeting, and Dennis, I appreciate all the input that you and others give me and the rest of us on the commission when you have opinions. It's very valuable to us to know what you all are thinking and what we can do to help you out. I just had a couple things I wanted to bring up, and I see there's other speakers from the county who may have additional information. You mentioned Hour with Hank, which is on Leap Day, February 29th, which I think is a week from today. You're all welcome to attend there if you have particular things you want to discuss with me. Also wanted to mention that the county is working on our hazard mitigation plan, and probably the most interesting thing for you would be a Zoom meeting about that on March 14th at 5:30, where you would have a chance to have input into the hazard mitigation plan. That's a very important plan because it's required by FEMA that we have. this plan in order for them to be able to help us if we do have some sort of emergency. Also wanted to mention that at our county commission meeting coming up this Tuesday, we're going to have introduced a single-use plastics ordinance that would, if enacted, ban a lot of single-use plastics, including plastic bags in grocery stores, and polystyrene products, which aren't even recyclable. This won't be a public hearing, but this would be the presentation of the ordinance, and then there'd be a public hearing in March. And so keep your eyes open. I'll put this in my newsletter, but if any of you want to come give your opinion about that ordinance in March, or at the latest in April, whenever we have the public hearing, you'd be welcome to do that. We've been talking about having a meeting about safety on Route 14. We were originally going to try and do that pretty close to the turn of the year. We have since put that off a little bit because the county staff is actually working on a study of safety along Route 14, and in particular, the Bonanza Creek Road, Route 14 intersection that I know is a concern for all of us. And so we're going to wait until they have, gotten their information together so we have something to present to you. And I think that'll make the whole process a little more interesting and useful, and may give us some actions that we can take as a county, or that we can ask DOT, the State Department of Transportation, to take to improve safety. I wanted to mention we're looking for volunteers for our Capital Improvement Advisory Committee, which would help advise the county on what capital improvement projects we should be working on next, and giving them some priority and for funding and work. Capital improvement projects are, of course, things like road paving and building fire stations and community centers. The other group that I think we're going to be looking for volunteers for shortly is the Open Space and Trails Committee that has the acronym COLTPAC. So I think we're soliciting volunteers for the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee now, and COLTPAC will be soliciting volunteers a little bit later. But if you're interested in either of those, please let us know. And with that, I think I will stop and not steal all the thunder for the county from the other speakers. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And thank you, Commissioner Hughes, for the work you've done to help out the community here, and the work that we know that you'll be doing in the future. You mentioned the hazard mitigation meetings, and that's something also that we will be sending out shortly by email to people on our email list. So the next person I'm going to let speak here is another commissioner, Commissioner Camilla Bustamante of Commission District 3, which is, in a rough and ready way, the southern part of it's a huge district, southern part of the San Marcos area, but it goes the whole way to Edgewood and all of that. It's all that whole southern part of the county. And so lots of things to think about for Commissioner Bustamante. And we really appreciate, the attention that she gives our area, in addition to all of those other things. So Commissioner Bustamante, you can you unmute yourself, and then we can
Okay. I'm glad that everybody's able to be at the meeting, and thank you for the opportunity, Dennis. And it's good to see many of you who show up to our regular meetings. As Hank has mentioned, a few of the things that I had on my notes to mention regarding the meeting for Bonanza Creek, but we're looking forward to addressing those traffic accident scenarios that seem to be really problematic. And I can't tell you how important that is. I think that's how I probably got my feet wet in getting political about anything. It was when 599 was extended and we were having people leave a small village, and there was one accident after another. And as we're seeing in our more rural areas, as we see at that intersection there off of Highway 14, now that there's more traffic, more congestion around the area and people just zooming right through, and we're seeing more fatalities. So I'm very passionate about it, looking forward to addressing that with you all. The other issue that is top of mind and has somehow resurfaced its head in activity, and I have to be very honest with you, this is my first year, though I'm into my second year, so I don't have any good excuses anymore. I am learning a lot about what's happening with the Madrid stormwater situation. And it's one that I am trying to ramp up on getting information, more information on what it means, the activities that are being conducted there, but more so the requests that the San Marcos Association had made for information that has not been provided. I do have a meeting coming up that is to address just the general concerns of the community, but understanding that you've also not been invited to some of the public comment sessions, and want to make sure that at a minimum you get noticed when there will be an opportunity for public comment, and that the San Marcos Association receives the notes from the minutes as they occur, which is a request that you had made. What I don't know is whether or not you had actually done a formal, and I hadn't asked Dennis, a formal IPRA request. And if not, we want to make sure that we get that done, that says formally there has been a request for that public information and it will be made available to you. So those are the two things top of mind. The next is the, let me think, what else do we have here? There's another opportunity for the water. One thing that I have been absolutely embroiled up to my head, if I'm going to keep with a poor use of a metaphor, because we're about to talk about water, is this issue regarding PFAS. And the PFAS issue is grand and extreme for the residents just south of the wastewater treatment facility, but it is not lost on me that it is an issue that's going to come up at some level within our whole county, because it's everywhere. There will be an information session. Yes, it will be focusing on what's being done for those community members who have inadvertently been affected by the contamination from what appears to be the National Guard. But I think that it's going to be very informative to all of us who have been living among these chemicals now for a while, looking at, and I don't know if you don't know my background, I am an environmental epidemiologist by training. I have mostly worked in the areas of social and behavioral indicators of health, but did spend 17 years working on the environmental artifacts coming from our national laboratory and their impacts on surrounding community. When I think about what the concerns are with regard to these forever chemicals and what they mean in our environment, and the reason why District 3 I feel is largely impacted, though there are other districts that will be impacted. We're probably the most rural that have the most people on wells. And I could be wrong, I'm willing to be corrected, but at a glance, we have more people on wells than we do on provided water. So we want to make sure that we're addressing these types of issues seriously, quickly, and able to respond when we do have situations where water systems have come up with high levels of anything of concern. That being said, I started it by talking about a new resolution that's going to refine the Water Policy Advisory Committee. And we're really looking for people who have a strong passion and interest in working with, for, and about our water, in ensuring that 7 generations from now, people will have water that is drinkable and good quality available to them. So it's not just planning for now and for off-normal events, but also for future generations, and how we would work cooperatively with the city. So, and when we say that, that's important and critical, as water resources and water as an environmental artifact don't know political boundaries. So that's the large and the small of it from my side of the house. But what I'd really like to ask, and I'm kind of could have had an opportunity to talk to Commissioner Hughes about it. You know, I'm grateful for those who've come before me and have been sitting in their seat for a little while and have figured out ways to have an hour with Hank. I am spread out from Airport Road to Edgewood and all points in between. And I would have several meetings a month, or maybe if it's quarterly, but I've got to find a way to be present physically. I will be sending out a postcard. So one thing that has been the highest priority, in fact, I would say the highest priority for me coming into the new year, was that communication needs to be stronger. I have not felt like I have met my goal in being more in touch with people as I would like. The postcard that will be sent out to everyone in District 3 is going to have the scan code on it so that an individual can go directly to my newsletter. And thereafter, we're going to figure out which tree, which river, which arroyo you want to meet in, because I do need to, want to, and invite you to contact me with any issues, questions, concerns, conversations that you have. But right now, I'm working to make myself more available. So thank you. I apologize for my hoarseness. It started out as a cold, and now it's just good old-fashioned allergies. But I am here, interested, and ready to continue to serve the issues in our county, and specifically in our District 3 area and everything in between. So that's it.
Thank you,
Thank
Commissioner Bustamante. In answer to your earlier question, we did not submit an IPRA request for that information. I tried to just contact the person directly and hope that they would just send it, but we will have to do an IPRA request.
Thank you, Dennis.
Down the line, that's there. The next person, also from the county, Nate Crail, who very successfully and professionally led the San Marcos Community Planning District meetings that are winding up, and there's one final meeting in March coming up. The Community Planning District is the San Marcos Community Planning District is very similarly named, but totally different from the San Marcos Association. A lot of things are called San Marcos around here, and that's just an example of that. So, but it's something that we participated in as individuals. The San Marcos Association did not go to those meetings as an association, but some of us were actively involved in that, as were a lot of our neighbors. So Nate, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you. You can unmute and go.
All right, good evening, everyone. If you don't know me already, I'm Nate Crail, Community Planner in the Growth Management Department at the county. And I've been, kind of shepherding the community planning process for the San Marcos Community District. And in the last year, we were working on proposed amendments to the community district overlay. And as Dennis mentioned, the third and final public hearing about the proposed amendments will be in front of the Board of County Commissioners on Tuesday, March 12th, after 5 p.m. And I just want to say, it's great to work with everyone and meet everyone and, explore the, different perspectives and all the different, zoning changes that would be going forward. But yeah, I hope to see you either in person or on WebEx on March 12th. And if you have any questions about the proposed amendments, please contact me. I'll put my contact information in the chat. But, it's great to see everyone's faces, and I've, thoroughly enjoyed working with everyone.
Thank you, Nate. Like I said, Nate did a wonderful job. It was, some of the meetings were contentious and all over the place. Nate managed to corral everybody and come up with a document that hopefully will soon be law, as it were, in the Sustainable Land Development Code. The next one of the key things that the San Marcos Association has been working on is just the whole idea of fire safety, which I was a school administrator, many of you know, and the word safety has about 57 different dimensions. So there's not just like making sure, that something doesn't burn down, but there's prevention, and there's response, all these different things. And so we're really pleased to have the Assistant Santa Fe County Fire Chief, and I apologize if I mispronounce your first name, but and you can correct me, but Jeon Blay, and I'm going to pass it over to you, and he's going to talk about fire safety in this area. We have a new fire chief at the Turquoise Trail volunteer fire department, but I haven't had a chance to meet him yet. I know Courtney's spoken with him a little bit perhaps, but Chief, please bring us up to speed on what's going on in the fire world in terms of this part of the county.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to your annual association meeting. As some of you may know, the county is actively working on building its emergency management program, and it's currently accepting applications for a director of emergency management. So I invite you all to put the word out there and apply suggest it to anybody you may know that is qualified for that position to apply for the position. Updating the emergency operations plan is a priority for the county, and the fire department is currently working on the groundwork so that once we hire an emergency manager, he or she will be on their way to completing the emergency operations plan for the county. I like to differentiate the hazard mitigation plan, which is ongoing right now, and Commissioner Hughes mentioned it. That takes place every 5 years, and every 5 years we update it with new information, whereas an emergency operations plan is, and by the way, the hazard mitigation plan deals mostly with natural disasters, whereas the emergency operations plan deals with both natural disasters and man-made causes. As far as directly relating to your area, I sent you earlier a Ready, Set, Go brochure in electronic format. So if you could please share that with your association. It's always good to prepare your home, make it more resistant to potential wildfire. And there is nothing more effective than actually creating that defensible space around your structure. If anybody has additional questions or concerns, please feel free to direct them to our office, and we'll be more than happy to answer their questions. Additionally, to add to what Commissioner Hughes was saying, there will be a meeting on March 14th. That's a virtual meeting, but then there's a couple of in-person meetings for that hazard mitigation plan. One is on Wednesday, March 6th. That will take place at Fire Station 70, which is in Edgewood, at 6 o'clock. And the other one is March 7th, the next day, at Station 50, which is in the north, in Pojoaque. I think at this point, this is all I have for you, unless you would like me to talk about anything else in particular.
Well, thank you, Chief. Just to clarify, the hazard mitigation is about hazards that are as a result of some kind of an accident or catastrophe, or they're about hazards that come just in the normal course of events, or are they both? Hazard
Mitigation plan is mostly about natural disasters. And that's something that we update every 5 years. As disasters happen, which we are very fortunate in Santa Fe County, we do have some, especially either from snow blizzards to wildfire risk, but we are exempt, hopefully, from, tornadoes or hurricanes, earthquakes, although you never know. We could still have some of those, but the probability is really, really low. Whereas the emergency operations plan we're working on putting one together, that will deal specifically to man-made disasters as well as also natural disasters. When I say man-made disasters, I'm talking about anywhere from terrorist acts to active shooter situations to hazardous materials releases, you name it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I did receive the documents that you sent, and we will be distributing those and linking to those on the website and so forth in order to make people as aware as possible of the ways that they can protect themselves. The Ready, Set, Go is really, really a useful document. I've used it in the past and similar ones in earlier incarnations. And so that's something we for sure are going to get out there. So we appreciate your time, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things that we're very proud to have in our area is Cerritos Hills State Park. And it's managed, of course, it's owned by the county, but managed by the state park system, but it's supported by the amigos of the Cerritos Hills State Park. And I'm proud to have here Kathy Weber, who's president of the amigos. And I'm going to turn it over to her so she can just, from a different perspective, tell you some of the things that are going on in and around the park and the ways that we can help support her. So Kathy, you can unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, nice to see everyone. A few faces and names I know. So I am serving on as my third year of a 3-year term as president of, well, on the board. Janet McVicker, who is your vice president, is also on our board. And we've been kind of pulling the park back together. It was shut down for a couple of years during COVID, and it took more than a minute to get it back up and running. It's got a full slate this year of events that both Amigos, which is the Friends of the Park group, and the state park is putting together. So I just wanted to tell you how you could connect with us and how you could get with the newsletter and see all the great things and just give you a taste of some of what's happening. So, and just, I guess as an introduction, we support, and we don't have any monetary connection with them other than we raise money through our gift shop. We have, I should have brought my hat. We have some great merchandise with the Amigos logo and t-shirts and some cool walking sticks with a piece of turquoise, stuff like that. And that's how we support the funding that we do for the park. If you know the visitor center entry, it's called the Plaza. Used to be called the Plaza by the Ceruleans here when I first came here 32 years ago. That plaza, we kind of have worked to get all the goat heads out. It was a big effort because we have things like art in the park and the burro race, and people bring their dogs and their kids. And if you were in flip-flops, the goat heads had just gotten out of control. So it's taken us about 3 years, a lot of weed cloth, a lot of muscle, and we've gotten it all out. So it's a really great thing. So we can have events like on Monday, April 8th, we'll be there just at the main visitor center giving out glasses for the eclipse, the partial eclipse. A lot of people are going all the way to Texas, but we're going to get a pretty good side view. And so if you want to pop in, and I think we'll see the most of the eclipse around the Cerritos area around 11:38. So you pop in if you need some glasses. Don't look directly at it, obviously. And then Saturday, April 20th, we're starting to lean into an Earth Day event. We'll be cleaning up the plaza. We'll have a wildlife center bring animals and do a presentation, and we will be planting with Master Gardener Luann. A lot of you might know Luann. She was at the clinic for 28 years, and she's now become a master gardener, and she'll be putting in a pollinator garden. So it's a great day to come out and just be with your community members and do some of that. If you'd like to be an amigo and be part of the group that does volunteer, like myself and Janet, it's $30 a year. You get a pass to go park for free. Otherwise, it's $5 every time you visit. If you have that state park visitor pass, then obviously it's part of that. But the Cerritos only pass is $30. It helps supports the amigos. You get 25% off on the merchandise, and you get a great newsletter that a local woman has been doing since last summer. And they're all archived now on our website, but she's done all of the movies. She's collected some amazing old photographs. If you're looking for, you're telling friends about the movies that have been made there, you can see a lot of those photographs. Other events that are coming up is Saturday, May 4th. We've combined the borough race with the art in the park and the giant bake sale, and that'll all be happening on Saturday, May 4th. That's the first Saturday in May. And then also we're starting, it'll be our 3rd annual year to do a community picnic that we host. It's free to the community, a barbecue on July 4th. Last year we did the barbecue, we had a nice big tent, and we had 14 local authors come and read over the 3-hour period. It starts around 11:30 or noon and goes till 3 p.m. We also do hikes. There's a social hike. You can just come meet your neighbors. It's a real leisurely pace. It's not really, we share knowledge, but it's not really an educational hike. You don't have to stop and listen to all the names of the rocks unless you want to. And that is led by a local school teacher, middle school, high school teacher. And she does it the 3rd Saturday of every month. So you can check out the website, and I have some things here for you to see. The website is called, let's see, can you see it? Okay, so it's backwards. So I did it that way so you could read it that way. So it's called cerrioshills.org.
Oh, Kathy, it was right the first time.
Really? Okay. cerrioshills.org. And if you want to send an email to get the newsletter, you can send it to connect@cerrioshills.org, but you can check that, and all of the events are on there that Amigos puts on. Then if you're an Instagrammer, is that correct? It's Cerrios_Amigos, and we keep up on that. If you're on Facebook, it's a Facebook group called amigosdecerrioshills.org. There's about 400 local people on it. And Pat from the petting zoo posts stuff that's going on all the time. So there's also a group starting up, a very beginners jogging group. They walk up the hills, they jog down the hills, and they kind of hike quickly across. So if you'd like to join any of that and come be part of Amigos, it's a great organization. It's if you've seen any of the Blue Zone information that's come out in the last few years, how to live to 100, one of the major components was walking in the hills. So we've got this great 5 miles of parks. And if you want to join Amigos, come in and join us. We'd love to have you.
Wonderful, Kathy. Thank you. It's really neat. Cerrios Hills Park is unique in the state. It's a park that's not built around water, so there's no water there. That's one thing to remember if you go up there hiking. And it's just fascinating, the history, the old mines, the landscape, the views you can get from up on high. It's a really cool place. So if you haven't been there, by all means, get on over and stop in at the gift shop. I'm going to go next. Kathy Bilton is here from the Santa Fe Gateway Alliance. So she's sort of a sister or registered organization that looks after and advocates for a slightly different part of the county, but one that borders on the San Marcos area. And so as part of our outreach effort to connect with other ROs and COs, we asked Kathy to come here and speak a little bit tonight about what the Santa Fe Gateway Alliance does and is and where it's at and all of that. So Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Dennis, and thank you for the invitation. I see a couple of familiar faces and names, but so I'd like to just take a few minutes here to refresh our memories about the Santa Fe Gateway Alliance. I'm currently the president. Just a couple of words about my background. I'm basically a retired academic. I'm a university researcher. I've worked in a number of universities. I retired from New Mexico, the state of New Mexico. Couple of my last jobs, I was the senior research analyst for the Legislative Education Study Committee. And then I committed the sin of what they call crossing the street. And I went to work for the Department of Finance and Administration. So I spent some time there as the executive budget analyst for the K-12 education system here in New Mexico. So that's my personal and career background. The Santa Fe Gateway Alliance, just a couple of bits of history. In 2017, our group basically was formed as a response to oppose the construction of a proposed truck stop by the Pilot Flying J company. That truck stop was proposed for the intersection of New Mexico 14 and the Rancho Viejo Boulevard off of 14. We spent several years opposing the construction of the truck stop. In that process, we registered ourselves. We are an RO, as Dennis mentioned, with the county. We have a little bit different status. We're not we're not organized as a nonprofit corporation. We are basically an association of about 10 to 12 local neighborhoods that tend to focus on the area, as he mentioned, we sort of on our south boundary, we touch the north boundary of the San Marcos Association area. And on our north boundary, we really touch the border of Santa Fe, the city of Santa Fe. So we're an association of neighborhoods. We formed around a particular issue. We opposed the truck stop, and through a variety of our own efforts and our several collaborations and partnerships along the way, San Marcos was one of them. So thank you to those of you who participated with us and helped us and encouraged us along the way. We also collaborated with the Galisteo Community Association, with the old Santa Fe Association, and a number of other groups locally like yourselves. So it was a group effort. We felt that the success of that effort we felt very proud of, and we were very happy on the day when the project, the site of that project, which was inappropriate in our view, was voted down. Our mission, our Santa Fe Gateway Alliance mission, is simple. It's to preserve the top of the Turquoise Trail for residents and visitors. We have a vision statement that I think aligns really well with your vision statement, as well as the vision that's outlined in the Santa Fe County, the community college development plan, and the sustainable land use plan as well. Our vision is that the integrity and character of the communities and environment of the Southern Gateway of Santa Fe are assured now and in the future. So that's just a little sketch about Santa Fe Gateway Alliance. We have, I don't want to step into territory here that I probably shouldn't, but because we organized originally around a particular issue, we are alert to and we're vigilant about just keeping track of and staying in touch with the nature and the type and the amount of development that's going on in the south end of Santa Fe, and certainly that encroaches in all of our areas. Our most recent concern has been the proposal that's in front of the county now, which is to construct the Rancho Viejo solar project. So we have some concerns about that project, and we're kind of actively looking at and assessing the current, the county's activities and in regards to that project. So that's pretty much where we're at this moment.
Thank you, Kathy. We're really glad you could make it tonight and to talk about it. How does somebody, do you have a website or anything
We have a website and we have a Facebook page, and thanks for the reminder on that. So Santa Fe Gateway Alliance, I just tell people, just Google that and you'll get there. That's usually for me the easiest way to find something. So I do encourage you to look. We sort of, I think like many of us, and I heard someone this evening, we struggled through the pandemic. And we haven't quite come back from that yet in terms of what you might see online. But we do have lots of information available, and we invite you to look at that.
Okay, thank you. We certainly will. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on next to the next item, which is our treasurer's report. So Gail Bono is going to go through that. What's going to happen, I hope, is that while you're talking, Gail, I'm going to put up the actual numbers, treasurer's report. So I'm going to go to screen sharing now, and what all of you should see is the numbers while Gail's talking. But Gail, you can unmute yourself and go.
Hello, everyone. Every month that we have a meeting, which is 10 months out of the year, I produce a treasurer's report about the previous month. We had a balance from our last meeting on January 18th of $4,521.02. And since then, our donor box, the donations button, was added to our website. And so you can see listed there, it looks a little disjointed. I didn't print it that way. There were no arrows and things, but anyway, you can see the dates of those deposits from Stripe, which was from the website. That's for people who donated by credit card. And then we had a couple of check donations for $200. The one debit we had until today was from MailChimp for $11.81. And then we had two more deposits, one from PayPal from the website and one from Stripe from the website. And then if you scroll down, Dennis, I don't know if you can get below there. I sort of did a breakdown because those are the net deposits. Of course, Stripe and PayPal take out their fees. So I broke that down. So the $427.15 are the net deposits just from Stripe and PayPal, plus the $200 in checks equal the total net donations for this period of $627.15. Now, Dennis, if you can go to the profit and loss statement. The profit and loss statement is for our fiscal year begins on March 1st, so it ends next week. So this is the profit and loss statement for March 1st, 2023 through February 22nd today. And you can see that our income so far, and that's gross income, is the $922.38. Our expenses, I will tell you what those expenses are. The first one, business registration fees of $10, is for our annual New Mexico Secretary of State annual registration fee. The next one is donations. It's a donations expense. The $20.23 is how much we had to pay. Those were the fees from PayPal and Stripe so far. Under operations, the $82 represents our post office box annual rental, which keeps going up every year. The printing, the $203 was we printed 2,500 postcards to distribute out to the community. Promotion, that's MailChimp. From April of 2023 through February of this year is the $132 and change. The telecommunications expense, $160.21, is our Zoom expense. The website expense is broken down between DreamHost, which is the hosting for the website, of $173.87, and an annual fee for SurveyMonkey, which is how we got our survey up on our website and to collect the data, That's $375.13, and that runs from December 6th of last year through December 5th of this year. And you can see the net income. So our total expenses were $1,156.81 total, and we have a net loss of $234.43. And it's just a really good thing that the board felt it necessary to try to ask for donations so we could cover these expenses. And there's still more to come, I'm sure, including a donation from me, which I haven't had a chance to do yet because I'm in tax season. So that is about it. I have nothing more to add unless anybody has a question, but
Thank you, Gail. There's no action to be taken on this. It's just a report from Gail. But Gail does a wonderful job of keeping track of the numbers and filing as a 501c4, which is what the San Marcos Association is. We need to file income tax returns and so forth, and she takes care of all of that stuff for us every year. So thank you again, Gail. We really appreciate your work on all this.
Can I make a very fast announcement? I want to call out to Kathy Bilton and others from the Gateway Alliance. I was so impressed. Many of us here followed that and participated, and it was really an extraordinary effort. The Old Santa Fe Association, of which I'm a member, was one of the many participators, and Kathy and others, Lisa Burns, and I've forgotten who else, Kathy, wrote a little bit of something about it, which we included in our newsletter. I put it in the chat. You're welcome to go read that. It gives the whole history of what happened. And in one photograph there where Lisa's standing near the front, you can actually find Janet McVicker somewhere in the background. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Elizabeth. One of the things that the board voted to do this year and that we implemented right around the beginning of the year, I think, was a survey. So if you go to our web, if you have not taken it, you can take it on our website. That's the easiest place. Just go to the San Marcos Association.org and the survey will sweep across the screen and you can take it. But we did this survey to learn about our community and ways that we could help our community. And I'm going to turn it over to Doug Spear here in just a second, and he's going to give a report about some of the things we learned. We asked questions about the website and things like that. We're not going to go into all that sort of thing, but what did we learn about the community and what kind of things are we thinking about going forward with based upon the survey results that we've gotten? Even though it's still open, it's not closed, it's still open. So Doug, I'm going to mute myself and give it over to you.
Thank you, Dennis. Well, I want to first tell you all that I'm just very thankful for everyone who has taken the survey. It's been very interesting, very informative, and we're going to run through some of these results and share them with you. I think you'll find it interesting to see what we have discovered on this particular effort and what we hope to discover as we continue forward. Our email list and Facebook announcements generated 67 responses. And then we added a notice on Nextdoor, and that generated an additional 36, totaling 103 surveys taken. And we're very pleased with those results, but it still just represents a small fraction of the entire San Marcos Association area. And we'll share some ways that we're trying to increase this number a bit later in the presentation. One of the interesting things we found was that 90% of our respondents are homeowners. The vast majority also live in 87508, with a few in 87510. This reflects both the demographic of the people who are on our email list as well as those on Facebook. We really want to broaden awareness and interaction with the many other demographic groups that live within the San Marcos Association area of advocacy, so that SMA truly represents our residents and landowners. If you've taken the survey, you know that we asked everyone to select the issues that were important to them. This is how respondents ranked those issues. These percentages represent the combined responses of those ranked very important and extremely important. As you can see, water and the environment topped the list. Land development was a strong third, and safety issues not far behind. Each of these issues we identified for the survey were chosen by over 50% of the respondents as either very important or extremely important. We asked everyone to add specific issues that they were concerned about. Many of the comments we received echoed the issues that we identified. Water usage and water availability was mentioned several times. The changing climate continues to have an impact on the water resources available to our community. That, coupled with the water required for new development, raised concerns from many different people. Land development was also identified as having a negative impact on our rural environment. Another aspect of land development that people mentioned was the challenge of the county permitting process. Safety and crime were both mentioned by several residents, especially surrounding the drug usage and houses occupied illegally by drug users. The proposed AES solar development ran through several comments, citing concerns over the entire development, as well as the batteries being proposed for storage. We had many comments around traffic, road safety, and road maintenance. Excessive speed was called out, and the intersection at Highway 14, Bonanza Creek, and Shenandoah continues to be a major concern. The condition of gravel roads were mentioned multiple times. Unfortunately, many of these roads in our area are private easements, and the responsibility for maintenance falls on the homeowners and not the county. Threats to the rural environment from pollution, pesticides, and loss of wildlife were also listed several times. The presence of cannabis farms continue to raise concerns. We can say that the new San Marcos district overlay contains new regulations for rural residential that eliminates permits for cannabis micro-grows. In rural zones, it remains a conditional use permit. And of course, beyond the San Marcos Community District, rules generally follow county zoning regulations and is a cup in most zoning categories. Healthcare availability in our community, as well as hospice and at-home medical care, was also highlighted. Another item on the wish list of some people was community parks, hiking, and areas to play sports. Finally, light pollution from homes not following dark sky regulations was of concern. So what have we learned so far from our survey? Well, one thing is certain. Not all the issues that were raised are items that the SMA can address, but we definitely want to work on and to help whatever we can. A top priority we've embraced is to increase awareness of the SMA. We want our residents to feel that they have a resource that listens and shares important information about our community. We want to hear from younger voices in our area so we can communicate effectively with the county about the issues that impact all of us. To that end, we have just created an information card about the San Marcos Association that we are placing in businesses and gathering places all over our area of advocacy. We feel we need to educate our residents about who we are and what we do, and this card begins that process. It will direct them to our website where they can discover the resources we provide, as well as to our survey, so we can learn more about those who currently are not aware of what we do. We will continue enhancing the resources on our website, including plans for a curated community submissions page where residents can keep us informed about issues of importance. One clear message from the survey was that a large percentage of our respondents are on Facebook and Nextdoor. Frankly, we need some help moderating our Facebook page. It's one of the needs that we have that we hope to fill as soon as possible. Of nearly half of those taking the survey who said they would be interested in becoming more involved with the SMA. That's 48 out of 103 said they would be like to be more involved. We hope to find someone willing to volunteer some of their time and expertise with our Facebook page. We want to increase the number of public forums where we can listen to the concerns of our community. While virtual meetings like this have been great to have during COVID and since then, we recognize that in-person meetings would be incredibly valuable. Until we have that opportunity, we will likely have to stick with Zoom for now, but we would like to initiate more opportunities to meet with the residents throughout the area. I'm sure many of you remember the newsletter that was once published by SMA. A printed newsletter requires a lot of resource, time, and financial commitment that we don't think is feasible at this time. However, we are working on developing a digital one-page newsletter that can be emailed out, avoiding printing and postage costs. Again, if anyone has an interest in helping with that, please let us know. We will be sending out, I'm sorry, I have to go back a slide. We will continue sending out our regular emails that include notices, invitations, and reminders about relevant county meetings, of course. As much as we can do for you, there are several things that you can do to help us fulfill our mission and vision for the SMA. It starts with telling people that you know about the San Marcos Association. Ask them if they know who we are and direct them to our website and survey. If you hear someone talking about applying for a development permit or questioning what the county regulations are concerning something, share our resources with them. Let people know when community-related meetings and events are coming up. It could be a conditional use permit hearing or another meeting organized by the county. Invite people to join the Hour with Hank so that they have an opportunity to voice any concerns that they have. Drop us an email with any thoughts or information you may think would be helpful or useful to the SMA. Of course, your questions are always welcome. Most of all, let us know what's important to you. If we don't have an answer, we'll try to direct you to someone who does. Between our board and all of you, we want to be an organization that makes a difference in our community. Your participation in our survey has given us a great boost toward accomplishing that goal. Thank you.
Now we're going to go into some of the organizational aspects of the meeting, and that involved, the first thing we need to do is elect board directors for the San Marcos Association. The board director serves for 2 years, and so people that were elected last year include Gail Bono, Janet McVicker, me, Doug Spear, Teresa Mendoza, and Maggie McCauley. So they're not up this year. Next year, if they're still interested, they'll be able to be up. But up for re-election this year, current board members who are up for re-election include Courtney Price, Jill Clyburn, Larry Grazier, and Elizabeth West. And although I don't normally do this, I'm going to make a motion that those 4 be re-elected to the board. Is there a second? Maggie is the second. There's no real discussion here at this point. So all those in favor of re-electing those 4 board members, this is something everyone can vote on. This is not, I should have said that. Everyone who's in the area can vote on this. Okay, all those in favor of those 4? Thank you. I don't see there's 2 screens. I can't see everybody. Is there anybody opposed? I'm going to look on the screen for a raised hand for anyone who is opposed. Not seeing anyone opposed. That those 4 are reappointed to the board. And they've done a lot of work for the community so far, and we look forward to them doing even more next time. We're always on the lookout for new board members, and a person who has been involved with us a lot this year and sat in on meetings. I run the meetings, so that's the first thing I say to anyone who sort of wants to be a board member, is that you probably should sit through my meetings and make sure you can put up with me, and so on. But Mariana Hatton is somebody that has put up with me, so I'm going to make a motion that Mariana Hatton be elected this evening as a board member for the San Marcos Association. Is there a second? Courtney, I see your hand up as a second. Mariana, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and just sort of introducing yourself. Probably a lot of people know you. Go ahead and say a few words about yourself.
Well, thank you, Dennis, and the board for the confidence. I have been a resident here 25 years now and have always followed the San Marcos Association. And when this opportunity came to really help a group that helps all of us, I was very honored, very pleased to be asked.
And we're glad that you are willing to help us all out here. Okay, so all of those in favor, again, this is something everyone can vote on. All of those in favor of Mariana being on the board of the San Marcos Association for the next 2 years, so ending in 2026, raise your hand or say aye. Okay, I'm going to look. Are there any who are opposed? Hearing none, that is unanimous. Okay, welcome, Mariana. We'll send you a bill here in a few days. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. There's no bills. All right. As pursuant to the bylaws of the San Marcos Association, what happens is that down in the fall and early this year, the officers get together and decide on a slate of officers for the upcoming year. And we try very hard to get somebody to take our jobs, but it doesn't always work out. In any case, the board of directors selected the following slate of officers. I will read them for next year. So president, me again. Anyone who wants this job can jump up right now and we'll change this motion. But the president, vice president, Janet McVicker, secretary, Larry Grazier, and treasurer, Gail Bono. So that's the slate. And again, although I don't normally do this, this is a more formal setting in terms of the organization. So I make a motion that that slate of officers be elected for the 2024 year. I'll need a second, but it can't be any of those four people. So Maggie seconds, okay. And this is one where it is just the board members vote on this one. So there's really nothing to say. We've already voted on this slate. Unless someone's had a drastic change of mind, all those in favor of that slate, raise your hands. I'm voting for myself. Anyone opposed? I'm looking to double checking. No. Okay. All right. So that's those. We are the officers for next year. Okay. So I want to thank everybody for all of the voting and the action and everything for this evening. One thing that we like to end the meetings with, we're not going to be discussing them in detail, but just a little bit. And some of you board members know a little more about some of these topics than I personally do. So because we spread the work out, it's not like I'm the one person who knows all these different things. So as I go through these different items, if you've got something you'd like to add to my brief remarks, by all means, raise your hand and I will call on you. But as we talked about earlier, the San Marcos Planning District Overlay, which is something that we've all been involved with, although the San Marcos Association hasn't been involved specifically, but that's something we've certainly talked about amongst ourselves and so forth. Just a reminder that on March 12th, it will go for the final hearing before the Board of County Commissioners. And anyone who has a chance to go to that meeting or to be there via Zoom can speak to that issue during the hearing. We're we're all pretty happy. You never get what you want in something like that, but we're all happy with the process and pretty happy with the results. The Cerrillos Senior Center Fire Station, those of you who get down that way can see the framework is up. There was just a meeting last week about this colors of the stucco. I don't know. I wasn't able to go because I was at another meeting, but they talked about stucco colors. The last I heard from the project manager was that was slated to be finished in mid-August of 2024. So we're looking forward to that. I don't know specifically, but it's been well over a decade in the process and in the making. So that's something that will help the whole community, even though it's in Cerrillos. It's not just for Cerrillos, it's for the entire area. As pointed out earlier by Commissioner Hughes and Commissioner Bustamante, the whole idea of traffic and the safety of the road here, especially Highway 14, but some of the side roads as well, are issues that we're concerned about. Laird filed an IPRA request and got from the Department of Transportation the records of accidents and incidents along a long stretch of road, not just the Highway 14 Bonanza Creek Shenandoah intersection, but all of Highway 14 through our entire area, from south of Madrid all the way up to basically up near Walmart. And so if you're interested in looking at those data and you're familiar with how to use Excel spreadsheets, you can go to our website. On the homepage, it talks about the safety issues, road safety. And if you click on that, it'll take you to a spot where you can analyze and look at the number of accidents, whether they were fatalities or not, whether they were single drivers or multiple car. I mean, the amount of data there is fairly specific. And the easiest way, I will tell you if you're interested, is to use the mile markers. And I don't remember the mile marker for the intersection of 14 and Shenandoah Bonanza Creek, but if you look, I just don't remember. I want to say 39, but I might be wrong in that area. But the way to sort it is to look at the mile markers and say, okay, I'm interested in all the accidents in this stretch of road, and look at it like that. That's something that we'll be working with. We've been agitating with the county, and the county will be holding some kind of a town hall about that soon, hopefully. Throughout the year, we always keep an eye on legislation as it pertains to this area. It doesn't have to be about development. It doesn't have to be about traffic safety and so forth. But any kind of legislation we feel like is something that we need to be involved with, we keep an eye on. Laird is part of the legislative, I want to call it the LAO. It's not called that in New Mexico. But anyway, the office that analyzes legislation financially. Laird, do you have a few things to say about any legislation?
There's nothing that really comes to mind. A couple of very, very important bills, one of which is Senate 17 is intended to rescue the rural hospitals, but what it's going to do is to increase everybody's hospital bill. And it will be covered by insurance, but that's something that we have to look forward to. There was a bill in that peripherally affects the AES project because it would allow a standalone battery energy storage to come in under the industrial revenue bond proposals. And another one that was kind of near and dear to my heart and may be interesting to Janet is that the new Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency funding source that looks an awful lot like a tax increment development district, they changed some of the procedures, and that maybe affect our area. And finally, there were some changes to the recreational cannabis regulations and support behind that. But I may go ahead after the governor signs all this stuff. I'll just do a brief summary for posting on the website.
Okay, thank you, Laird. Keeping an eye on those kinds of things is something that we try to do. And whenever legislation or policy changes or those kind of things come up, we try to keep the community informed. One of the things we were involved with over the last, say, 18 months was there was a problematic house on Arroyo Coyote where there were a lot of criminal activity, and that even though weren't, like I said earlier, we're not law enforcement. We couldn't just drive up to that house and do something. But what we did do was agitate with several of the county commissioners and get them to work on what became known as, or became passed as, the nuisance abatement ordinance. And that was something that we worked on. That law was a much bigger object than what we were thinking in terms of focusing just on that one house, but it's something that applies countywide and will help neighborhoods deal with houses like that. That particular house seems to be a thing of the past, but that's still a knock on wood sentence there. Other things we're keeping an eye on are solar energy projects, which have been mentioned several times this evening. Water resources and sustainability. The state of New Mexico, governor just released the 50-year water plan for the state of New Mexico. The New Mexico Interstate Stream Commission also released last year a several multi-decade plan for use of water and sharing water with other states. The Interstate Stream Commission is the body that deals with the fact that some of the water that we have in New Mexico comes from other states or goes to other states, and how do we share that water and so on. So that's a plan. Several of us worked on the Cunningham Hill gold mine, and one of the issues there was that the mining company wants to not have to pay for as much mitigation and so on. And one reason that they're feeling a little bit on the hook is that 30 years ago, when they made their plan included having a waste pit of water that they keep, according to the state, satisfactorily pure for wildlife and so forth. But they felt like the level would be up here, but it's only here. And the reason and this distance is 40 or 50 or 70 feet. It's a big distance in this pit. The reason it's here was because 30 years ago, they used the prior 50 years worth of climate data, and they said, oh, it's going to be up here. But in fact, in the 30 years that have passed, climate has changed dramatically, and rainfall has changed dramatically, and that pit is never going to get up to this level, which affects their mitigation efforts in very material ways. And so we have to be very careful about something like a 50-year water plan. We can certainly hope that it's going to be accurate, but we've got to keep an eye on it and water use in the area. So that's something that we do. An increasing number, maybe some of you are in this group, an increasing number of people are having to draw bulk water in order to have water at their houses because their wells are failing. Fire safety, again, is a major issue we've heard about. I had the opportunity this last year to work up in the Ortiz Mountains, clearing areas up in the hills there for fire safety and so forth, just outside of our area. But if a fire started there and the wind blows the right way, you're going to have major wildfires coming down through that whole Gold Mine Road community, and fires could start anywhere in our area. It seems like, oh, what's going to burn here? But when it starts, you'll see, and it won't be something that we want. So we need to really think about fire safety. Another last thing that we're working on, a world-renowned cultural historical site is Mount Chalchihuitl. There's nothing else like it in the world. It's a turquoise mine that's been there for 1,000 years, and it's something that's right here just from Rhyme City, just a mile away there. It's something that we're working on trying to preserve, but there's a lot of moving parts to it because it's also in the Cerrillos mining district, and so it's been contaminated by mines from the past and so on. So it's not just a a question of buying some land and you know, having a driveway that goes into it. There's also all kinds of toxic cleanup and everything that goes with it, but it's an area that the San Marcos Association is keeping an eye on. So that's just a quick summary of the highlights. There's lots
Dennis?
of other little doing. Janet is in charge of Mount Chal. Is that what you want to speak about?
Yes, just a couple of sentences. It is in fact the only turquoise mine of its kind in the North American continent, and it's extremely significant. And we have to remember also, it's also continues to be significant to the tribes in this area. I just wanted to say that I have a new contact of a person with whom I can speak concerning starting a process of obtaining more protection for this priceless resource. So it's just taking a very long time. The county had been slated to provide the support, and they dropped that. And so we're starting from scratch, and it's not a simple process, as Dennis alluded to. So thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Just one of many things, a number of different topics. As I said at the beginning, I like to start on time and end on time. Ending on time would have been 7:30. It is now 7:32. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for helping us get through another year, and we look forward to you helping us get through the next year. And with that, everyone, have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Dennis.
You guys take it easy.